Hi, I'm Barry Farber, and welcome to Pain for Gain, a show that looks at what we eat, how we move, and what we think about all day long. Why? Because that can be a big impact on our health and our success and happiness in our entire lives. So, we're going to have Hercules back again. Why? Because Hercules went through some serious pain, and knows what it's about. He has a foundation I've never seen any actor have in understanding how we can go forward with a strong foundation. So we'll be right back with Kevin Sorbo when we return. On Pain for Gain, we talk to people who didn't just rise to the top, they fought their way there. And today's guest is a perfect example of what it means to turn struggle into strength. Kevin Sorbo became a global phenomenon as the star of Hercules, the legendary journeys, a role built on power, discipline, and unbelievable physical demands. But what truly defines him isn't the character he played, it's the journey behind the scenes. At the height of his success, Kevin faced a series of unexpected health crises, including multiple strokes that nearly ended both his career and his ability to live the life he loved. But instead of breaking, he rebuilt. Instead of giving up, he doubled down. His comeback is a masterclass in resilience, faith, and the daily choices that transform pain into purpose. Today, Kevin isn't just an actor, he's a director, producer, author, and a powerful voice for overcoming adversity and taking ownership of your health, your mindset, and your future. This conversation is about strength beyond muscles, discipline beyond the spotlight, and victories earned the hard way. Please welcome back to Pain for Gain, Kevin Sorbo. Always great to have you.
Very good to see you.
Yes. You know, I will say right away, it's such an easy show to have with you because of what you went through, how you lived your life. And you know, in the last
it didn't feel easy when I was going through it. But.
I mean, it wasn't easy reading about it, I got to tell you. You know, I've experienced certain things in similarity to, but nothing like what you've gone through. I mean, it pales in comparison, but still I related to it because here you are at the top of your career with the #1 show in the world, Hercules, 111 episodes, 170 countries, right? I mean, you were, and then you get a stroke, 3 strokes.
3 strokes.
Okay. And what I want to understand in this segment is all the things that would have not come in front of you if for not that struggle, for sitting on that couch, for the migraines, for the pain, for the dizziness, not being able to play golf, your favorite sport.
Vertigo was fun too.
Oh, God.
Panic anxiety attacks were fun. Just all kinds of weird, well, because my body was going through this massive change. I just, you know, everything for me was rocking and rolling. I'm sitting on top of the world with the most watched TV show in the world, and I just finished my first big budget movie, another one waiting in the wings after that. And to have this roadblock that really changed my course within all the years I was training myself for hopefully having success in Hollywood one day. And here it was, and all of a sudden it was pretty much taken away from, you know, the road that I was on. That road closed, and I had another road that I had to find my way down on. So it was tough. It was frustrating, but I had a very good, solid team around me.
Yes, you did.
With my wife especially, and you know, I had to find a way to fight through it.
I'd like to say something. Sam, you're amazing, by the way.
Yeah, she is amazing.
So I mean, an amazing relationship you have, and how you worked out together. You're lying on the couch. You know, things are spinning. Your head isn't right, and you're arguing with yourself. Like, why is this happening to me? What is this? You know. What are some of the things that came out of that? I mean, you went through so much, you know, from meditation to
acupuncture, things I never would have done. Migraines were horrific. I never had suffered. Every time I got a headache prior to that, I would just go out and run 3 miles and go away. I didn't take any ibuprofen. I didn't take any drugs. I didn't take anything. To me, it was just this is how you handle it. This is how you do it. So I had to go down a completely different road, and I had to rely on a lot of other people that were very good at what they did, whether it was the acupuncture, whether it was the homeopathic doctor I saw, or the cranial sacral therapist, which I thought was the voodoo doctor.
Wait, let's go to that, because so I had neck pain from martial arts, right? And I tried to figure out what I was doing, and they wanted to go in there, fuse the discs. They said it's worn out. You can't do anything about it. They wanted to give me these pills, put in steroid, all kinds of crazy stuff. And I went to this, and for, I don't know, it was like $90 for an hour. I'd lie down, and she put her hands all over my body, but didn't touch me.
That's weird, isn't it?
And I'm like, wait a second, I want my money back. I mean, what's going on here? And the next day, but she told me that there's an action for that. She said there's a way you have to breathe because of the fluid in your cranial sacral therapy that goes into your skull down your back, that you have to get it moving so that your discs are separated. And right, I mean, tell me how.
Well, I was at a place I was willing to try anything and everything. And New Zealand had a much more natural, I guess, organic, homeopathic approach to a lot of different medicines and stuff. So when this guy was presented to me through a friend of mine down there, I should mention New Zealand is where I live filming Hercules. I went to see him, and I worked with him for about 3 months. And it was very strange. But like I said, I was willing to do anything. And this guy said to me, he goes, Kevin, are you a spiritual person? I said, well, yeah, I am. I mean, he goes, you don't have to be. But he was a guy that says, you can talk to atheists and say, well, there's a grateful prayer that anybody can say. Be grateful you got a car. Be grateful the sun came up. Be grateful you got hot water. We're so impatient in today's world. We want instantaneous everything, success, everything, food, whatever it may be. And in reality, it's just like, you know what? Take a breath and relax. So I started meditation. I started
a whole chapter on breathing.
Breathing. This whole inhaling 5 seconds, holding 5 seconds, and then exhaling. Just doing stuff to lower your blood pressure, find a place to be calm and things like that. Things that I would probably laughed at as an athlete prior. Things like yoga. And I kind of looked at yoga. I go in there. They kick my butt with that. I mean, that stuff was unbelievable. Pilates, stuff I never would have looked at.
Right.
But I remember going into this yoga class, and there was these All Blacks. Now, the All Blacks are the rugby team from New Zealand. They're always like the first or second best team in the world. These guys are massive athletes.
Right.
And they're doing yoga. And I looked at them and I said, okay. And I said, this is interesting. And I'd always been a guy that stretched anyway. I was always a stretcher, pre-sports and then after the workout. So I was already doing some yoga, not realizing I was doing some yoga. But to me, to do all these different things, to find my way back, to find what you call a normal existence, I guess, that was huge for me in so many ways.
There's a lot of doctors that came to visit you.
Sure.
Does any one of the doctors really stand out as somebody who made a huge difference in maybe the messaging that had you change your focus to getting back?
The guy in New Zealand, Dr. Tony, the sacral therapist guy. And there was this other guy that worked with my eyes because I had lost so much vision through the strokes. And
tell me what he did.
These exercises in your eyes to look at these photos, and all of a sudden the relaxing of it and it's weird. I think you've probably seen some of this before. There's actually photos inside these photos. There'd be something like a boat on the ocean.
Right.
And all of a sudden, but you relax, and all of a sudden the boat disappears, and out comes a pro football player. They're ready to throw a pass or something.
Oh, I know you're talking about the hidden picture.
Very weird stuff that I could before. I heard it before, but I could never do it. But this made my eyes. It was a workout. It was like doing
focus, unfocus.
It's like doing curls and bench presses from my eyes, and it helped bring back. There was just different things he had me do, different focal things he had me do that like I told you, I was ready to do anything to find some sort of peace.
Did that help? Looking at the pictures that you would see,
all the exercises that we do help.
Was it 3D that would come out?
Oh, we could see it visibly move.
That was like the Seinfeld episode.
The first time it happened, I went, "Wait, what just happened?"
Right.
So there was a Seinfeld episode like that. But I don't know. There were so many doctors that helped. That I find it interesting that the USC Medical head of neurology at USC Medical. And USC and Cedars-Sinai in LA. The guy that helped me a lot was this doctor, the head of neurology at USC. And I remember looking at my wife because we were going to get married 4 months after my strokes because we had set that date. And I told her, I said, maybe we should hold off on the date. And he looked at me and said something that made so much sense to me. He says, don't put your life on hold. He said, we all put our lives on hold and we never get to do the things we said we're going to do because we keep putting things on hold. So if anything, what I got out of this, once I became a father years later, I learned to have patience. I learned that when my kids come into my office to talk to me, I close the computer. I take the time to listen to them because those years go by so fast.
Yes.
So fast.
Yes. Zip.
And people talk about terrible teens. My kids were awesome. We homeschooled all three of them. I don't remember terrible teens. Do we have battles sometimes? Yeah, but I got great kids, and they're even better today.
But you've built the relationship so strong that.
Well, and I think homeschooling helped that because that's what made me realize, you know what? I used to go, I was public schooled, and once I got into like 5th and 6th grade and beyond, I was involved with really sports after school. So I'm not seeing my parents for 10, 12, 14 hours a day.
Right.
I get home, we have dinner, I go do homework. You shouldn't have to do homework after you've been in school for 7 hours. Right. That's what's great about homeschooling. It's ridiculous. So we had quality time with the kids. So for me, my kids were around me far more than I was around my parents growing up, because you're there with them. My wife's already told them and said, when you get married, you're not moving far away. You got to be close by, because all 5 of the kids in my family were in 5 different states.
Yeah. It's great you did that. You know, I wish I could have back, the time that I had to go away, but every second with them.
Well, as they say,
yes.
on your tombstone, it's not going to be, gee, I wish I had worked more.
Right, exactly.
It comes down to, I wish I would have spent more time with family and friends.
But I think that struggle that you had and really built character in you that I see not only in the book but in person, that gives you that foundation. Do you regret certain things you did that you would change?
I was focused on my career. I'll be honest. I was very selfish with I wanted to have since I was 11 years old, I said, I'm going to make it in this industry. I'm going to have success. And I could tell when I got to LA and I got involved, I took the toughest acting classes. Everybody's an actor. Everybody's an actor in LA. So not knowing a soul going out there, but already having a commercial agent, because I had a good commercial background already in my SAG card, I would ask who's like the best teachers out there. This guy's great or this woman's great, but it's tough to get in that class. Because my dad taught me, whatever makes you uncomfortable, then that's what you should go. That's the door you need to go down.
I love
that if you're uncomfortable, then go down that door. And I had auditioned for these classes to get into these classes. And there's one guy I had, Roy London. He was an amazing, amazing coach. Tough to get in his class. I had spent 6 months with his assistant before she said, okay, you're good enough now to go to Roy. And after a year and a half, almost 2 years with Roy's class, I said, Roy, I'm going to try this other class now for a while. He goes, Kevin, we're getting such great, we're making such leaps and bounds. He said, yeah, but I only work once a month. I'm paying a lot of money for these acting classes. I want to work every week. He goes, you learn a lot by watching. And I said, Roy, I watch a lot of basketball. I'm not getting better at it. I said, you get better by getting out there and doing it.
Right.
And so I got into a class after that for 2 years, just before I got Hercules, that I worked every week, which I loved.
Well, even Sam said the reason why she fell in love with you, obviously, she just saw your commitment to everything and how you worked and trained and did those routines for the martial arts and the fighting skills for Hercules. And then what you just said to me brought up a quote that I've lived by, and it is, success is the ability to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And when I'm uncomfortable, when I'm pushing myself and I look back, those are the times breakthroughs happen, or at least in my mind, I realize, I used to think I couldn't do this, but it was easier because it's like, your mind builds up, fear. You have a whole chapter on that. False evidence appearing real. Yeah. Fear, F-E-A-R, false evidence appearing real. Your mind builds it up more than it is, and you start believing it. And so
the majority of things we worry about in life don't happen. You go, I spent all the time stressing out and getting an ulcer over something that's not going to happen.
Correct.
Fear is an amazing weapon. It's a powerful weapon.
Yep.
And governments of every level use it, and people use it against you. And you just got to fight through that stuff and just say the heck with it. I'm just going to go down this road and not give up. Because you're always going to have roadblocks. Everybody's going to have roadblocks. Everybody's got a story. I don't sit here and say, my story of having strokes and almost killing me. Everybody's got a story.
I was watching a skater last night fall down a whole bunch of times, and she says that's what she loves, because it's that challenge, it's that disruption, it's that ability to see where you need to improve.
It's interesting. You just reminded me of something. I'm very fortunate and blessed with the life I lead right now and the success I've had. I'm still making movies. I still do what I do. I still get nervous before I get on a movie set, but I love it because every acting coach I've ever had said, use that nervousness.
Right.
It's good.
Yes.
It means you're alive. It means you're there. And I always would get to a point and said, if this is going to make me uncomfortable, then that's the road I want to definitely go down and not fight that road, because it's just the battle in LA prior to Hercules, I look at that as an amazing time in my life. That struggle I had to have the success I have today, because I remember being in acting classes and I could tell who was serious in that class. Spielberg's not going to just walk in and cast you on something. Right. You need luck, you need timing, you need talent, you need all those combination of things. Because there's so many good actors. I remember so many good actors that never had any success from my acting classes. Like, she was amazing. That guy was phenomenal. Never got a break.
But
there's a great line of Don Henley's song. He says, "I don't know why fortune smiles on some and lets the rest go free."
Wait, say that again?
I don't know why fortune smiles on some and lets the rest go free. It's in the Eagles. I think it's been a long run.
I love the Eagles, yeah.
Big fan of I used to golf with Glenn Fry.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So. My whole family. My son, at 5 years old, was singing the whole Hotel California. At 5 years old.
It's an amazing song.
That's a great one.
That sign was that sign was on, and I made a sign for that of that line in that song. It says, "You can check anytime you like, but you can never leave."
Right.
I said, "This is our show." I said, because it get to a time you think, this show's never going to end.
The Hercules,
it went 7 years, but you're working. I mean, I was literally working 16 to 18 hours door to door.
Crazy.
Oh, it was brutal. It was brutal, but I loved it.
And worked out, and even...
Yeah. Well, all that. I count that drive time, on the set, lifting weights, going back home.
Let's go into the workouts and the diet and all this stuff when we come back, okay?
Okay.
We're with Kevin Sorbo, Hercules. Be right back.
Introducing Believer's Choice Nutrition, a complete line of delicious nutraceutical gummies designed for the whole family. Powered by new BioSneds technology, our gummies bypass the liver for quicker, safer absorption, delivering nutrients where your body needs them most, including energy gummies to support vitality and focus without the crash, sleep to promote calm, restful recovery, immune to strengthen daily defenses, and prebiotic to support gut health and digestion. No pills, no routines, just great taste and smart nutrition. Believer's Choice, wellness full circle.
Hi, I'm Barry Farber, and I'm excited to bring you The Adventures of Little Billy in Search of the Magic Tree. In a moment, you're going to see an animated series that was created from interviews with thousands of high achievers in sports, science, business, finance, inventing, brain surgeons to billionaires, sports legends to entertainers, talking about what are the 5 elements that are condensed into having a successful life at an early age. What I wanted for every grandparent and parent to have for their kids is a foundation of those principles put into this animated series you're about to see. And I'm also excited for the special edition hardcover copy of The Adventures of Little Billy in Search of the Magic Tree that just came out. For more information on the adventure, you could scan the code below. How did this animated series start? I was actually carving Lawrence the Owl, one of the characters in the story, in my front yard. And as I'm carving, something popped in my mind. It said, you got to come up with an animated series so kids can get closer to the animals and understand the elements and principles of what the keys to success are. Scan the code below and learn more about that adventure. Welcome back. I'm Barry Farber, and this is Pain for Gain, and we're with Kevin Sorbo, Hercules, and more than that. He's a fighter. He's somebody who just lives the work. Really, I appreciate it. I wanted to just talk about this segment, go into your regimen, your workouts, your health, your diet, the way you take care of yourself, not just during Hercules, but after and so forth, just to get into that. But talk about your workout and before.
I always worked out. My 2 older brothers sort of led the way. They kind of made, they were 5 and 6 years older than me, and so I followed them in the world of sports and grade school, junior high school, and everything. And in terms of lifting weights, I mean, I got hooked on it pretty quickly, and it followed through high school and to college and beyond. And when I moved to LA, I lived in Santa Monica, right in the Venice border. Gold's Gym was just right down the block. The ocean was just right down the block. So a guy in his 20s, that was heaven for me.
Right.
And
you lived there.
I did. I mean, that was a good place to release the stress and anger of the rejection of Hollywood. So I think working out is great because you get all that frustration out, but you also get some benefits, the health benefits out of it. Yep. And I would either rollerblade or run or bike every day, and I go all the way down to Manhattan Beach, come all the way back to Santa Monica again, and it just always stayed with me. I mean, I learned a lot from playing sports in terms of what kind of workouts to do. What body part to work each day and things like that, because I'd rotate, back and legs and chest and arms and all that kind of stuff. Curls for the girls, as we all said back then. Right. And to me, that opened the way. When I got Hercules, I already ate well. I'm always big into protein. I'm a protein guy. And on Hercules, I would only have carbs in the morning. That was it. Carbs, that was the only time I had carbs. Then I would have 4 meals spread out over 2-3 hours. Protein, 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 and protein again. And then on weekends, I would cheat and have dessert and things like that.
That's okay.
You got to have
You
a
gotta
pizza
enjoy
now and then. You
something.
got to have some
Right.
strawberry shortcake and all that kind of stuff. But I was always a believer in the world of protein, and still am to this day. But my blood type is type O, and apparently type O is a craving for protein. Somebody said, I don't know what truth that
Really?
is, but yeah.
So tell me about what other nutrients, like you're working on something with Believer's Choice you mentioned?
Believer's Choice. I got approached to be the spokesperson for this. We're working on it right now. It's going to come out by the second quarter of this year, 2026. Happy New Year, everyone. And they're going to be gummies that deal with whether it's multivitamins, whether it's sleep, whether it's peptides, whatever it may be. We're here to... It's a great company because they've come up with a way to bypass all the processed vitamins that go through your liver and things like that. So you get the nutrients. I take a lot of vitamins, but I found out that a lot of the vitamins I take just
Toxic to the liver, no?
toxic to the liver and just gets wasted. These guys do some really wonderful, wonderful work, and I'm looking forward to this. I've already seen the packaging for it. They've already got a commercial done with it.
Awesome.
And I'll be doing the voice on it as well, and the narration for it. But I hope people check it out.
You know, I love things
Believer's Choice. It's coming your way.
Believer's Choice,
Yeah.
and I believe, because if there's something that doesn't have side effects where it stops the toxicity in your
Yes.
liver, I've seen people taking 75 vitamins or
That's crazy.
pills at once. I'm like, what does that do to the body?
I know. I look at them. I do about 14 a day. So,
14,
yeah, it's enough.
So it's nice that they have a proprietary way to be able to do this to bypass the
Yeah.
liver and still
Yeah.
absorb.
Yep.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I think, but because we don't always. I'm not a big vegetable guy. I like a good salad. I'll eat a good spinach salad, but I don't like spinach cooked. I mean, I'm a picky that way. I'm a meat and potato guy, Midwest boy out of Minnesota. So.
I'm going to tell you, eat more vegetables. Eat
I
more
know,
greens.
I know,
All right,
I know.
I just have to say, my son's a vegan,
Yeah.
and he says, Dad, just tell people, you don't have to tell them how to eat. Just tell them to eat more greens.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
true.
but-
And I think as a whole, most people don't. My wife's good at it. My daughter's good at it. My boys are following my suit. So I said, no, you guys, we gotta eat. But I'll have more salads than they do even. So
Good. Well, that's multicolored salad's great.
there you go.
When you were talking about working out with weights and stuff, and I remember going through the point where your doctor said after your stroke said, no weights, no, and I remember you said, oh my God, I got to work out.
Well, not even for the show. It's for my mental
Yes, exactly.
fitness and well-being. Yes.
So how did you deal with that over the time?
I got back into it again. It took me a while because I had to work on the balance issues because of the strokes I suffered.
Right.
It's in the book, True Strength. Check out True Strength.
Yes.
It's a good.
I told you.
Good story.
Read this week.
I know. I appreciate that. I
every
appreciate
word. You can test me.
it. I got to put Sorbo Studios in there. Go to Sorbo Studios and check it out. We got a lot of good things on that site.
SorboStudios.com.
My stuff, my wife's stuff, and then both of our stuff combined together. But I went back into it. I didn't wait that long. I mean, I would work on it. I had to work on the balance issue. So I would just take maybe 140 pounds on the bench press just to sort of get used to the balance again, because I had to realign my brain. Right. My brain had to rewire itself to find a way to relearn how to walk and even just balance again. So it was a long road, but I pushed through it because if the doctors, the physio doctors, and the doctors that I worked with, all these guys would say, just do 10 of these. I would do 100. That was my problem. I would do it and do it. Because there was a simple exercise they gave me where I had a ball in the hand and I would look up and I throw it up and I got to catch in this hand.
Right.
Couldn't do it.
You were laughing at him when he told you to do it.
Oh, I did. And then I was missing. I mean, that to me, prior to the balance issues, that was no problem. Right. But then I would just do it over and over again until I got good. Golf. Had no idea that I'd find making a driving range again, because I am a golfer.
You were like 70s you would shoot.
That I was sitting there, my handicap was like a 2, so, and all of a sudden I'm looking down and the ball could disappear because of the vision of my eyes, and they came out in a neurological magazine came out and said, golf is a great way to learn how to balance and eye-hand coordination again. So I was doing a sport that I already loved,
right,
not realizing that I was also helping myself.
Yep.
Because it was weird. When the first time I played 9 holes, it was probably 6 months after the strokes. I went out with my dad, and our balance was coming back and all that kind of stuff. I shot like an 80 for 9 holes. Here's a guy that even to this day, I'm like a 76 to 82. That's 80% of my score when I golf. I'm right in there. Sometimes I'm below that. Sometimes I'll have that 90. It happens in golf, you know. But 76 to 82 for golfers, nope, that's not bad. You know, I'm a solid 5 handicap, 6 handicap.
That's great.
And I love the game, and it's still part of my life. I just don't practice anymore.
But it was frustrating when you know, now you're playing golf and you're shooting in the 90s maybe.
Oh my gosh, it was weird to me.
Right.
It was weird, but I mean, it motivated me.
And then you shot at Pebble Beach, you know, you shot in a 70.
I shot a 70. I shot a 74 at Pebble
74.
Beach playing with John Cook. That was my first AT&T because they invited me to play in it every year.
You were at Hercules.
And Hercules had just finished. I started Andromeda, so it was my first time playing because I was in New Zealand. I couldn't play, but now I had a much better schedule on Andromeda up in Vancouver. And it was John Cook, myself, Noda Begay, who was Tiger's roommate in Stanford, and Craig T. Nelson from the series coach. And I shoot a 74.
Who's the guy who was
It was
narrating?
3 years after my strokes.
He was saying, "Look at Hercules. Here's Hercules."
David.
Yes.
Oh, what's his name
Yes,
now?
you know, he's Scottish. Right?
Very funny guy. Very funny guy.
Yeah.
And he said, "Bloody Hercules was playing out of his bloody gourd." He said, and I turned back and said, "Dude, I can hear you. I'm right here."
That's funny.
But as the golf gods will do the next day at Spyglass, which is a tougher course than Pebble, I shoot an 86. So that's bring you back into your humble mode. But I had for a moment, I had that moment that I was back in high school again when I was a really good golfer, right? I played amazing.
I enjoyed reading about your enjoyment from the Pebble Beach experience.
That was fun.
And here's a guy who has 100 movies. 100 movies, right? So let's talk.
Closing in.
Closing in on 100 movies. Yeah. Talk about what's new, like what's the latest.
I've got 5 movies in the can, believe it or not. I do a lot of independent movies, and you know, the only way they become successful is word of mouth by people. But most of them are good. Look, I've shot close to 100 movies. There's a dozen that really suck, but I didn't know they're going to be bad when I did them. But there's movies that I'm very proud of, like What If, God's Not Dead, Soul Surfer, The Life of Bethany Hamilton, the girl lost her arm to a tiger shark attack surfing.
Was that in Hawaii?
We shot in Hawaii for 2 months. Dennis Quaid and I had 4 days off a week, so we golfed every day together.
Oh, that's the best.
And so I've got a couple new ones coming out right now. There's a wonderful documentary out right now called Against the World. I shot with John Lennox, who's an apologist. He's debated all the great atheists of the world. So we spent 3 weeks in Oxford, England, where he was a retired math professor now, but and 2 weeks in Israel. It's called Against the World.
Against the World.
Apologetics for Dummies Like Me. It's a wonderful documentary. And I've just got some, you know, I do a lot of family type movies, and it's like all faith-based movies, but I want to do movies that have a positive message instead of negative.
Yep.
Hollywood does so much negative movies, I think, filled with anger and hate and violence and sex, and I'm not a prude in any way. Make the movies, but they need to go back to have a balance of movies. Yes. They actually, Netflix actually called me recently and said, you know, there's 80 million homes out there that want the kind of movies you do, and we need to get back to that and get past all this crazy woke stuff that's been going on. You know, and just, you know, I don't say Hollywood stop making the movies you're making, but mix it up a little bit more. And I think they're starting to realize there's a whole market out there that they're not paying attention to.
Yeah. You know, in the beginning I said it's not only what we eat, how we move, but what we think about all day long. We become what we think about. You watch anything about death, destruction all the time. That's all you're thinking about. We need films like
negative.
yours.
My wife always says, when you say negative things happen. Be more positive in your life, and I think I think there's a lot of truth to that. And I've heard that not only from her, from other people as well.
Well, I wrote 14 books, and the one book I wrote, Diamond in the Rough, the first chapter was on attitude.
Sure.
And my wife would say, "Honey, please read that chapter again," because we always fall back. You think like I read about, you know, with the pain you suffered, I give you some, you know, some leeway there. But sometimes we forget about how important that is. And I think you having those films that, you know, give those positive things to children and.
You know, it's interesting. I still do Comic-Cons because of Hercules and Andromeda, and I'm signed. I get half the people come to my table now. They want 8x10s from Soul Surfer and What If and Miracle in East Texas and Left Behind and things like that. And they say, we don't care about these other actors. We love that you're doing these family movies. And I'm going, wow. So I'm doing a thing called riseupcon.com. So people that go to sorbostudios.com, go to riseupcon.com. It's in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, this spring. And we bring in actors that do family movies. And it's a whole different thing. Dean Cain will be there. John Schneider will be there. I mean, it's going to be, it's guys that do Comic-Cons. We've all done secular movies, but these are movies that, faith-based, some of them, but some are just family movies, which is still secular. But it's just the movies that just have good messages instead of negative ones. So
Well, you have an amazing message. And you know what? I ran out of time. They're waving me off. Get off the freaking show. Cut the segment. But I'm going to tell you right now, I could do 5 hours with you easily. And I really want to say thank you, Kevin.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank you for
being
making
here.
the trip up here. I know you stopped and you have another movie you're making and you're meeting your wife and it's crazy. But here's a guy who practices what he preaches. And Kevin, I really enjoyed
Thank
this.
you. It's good to be here. I appreciate it.
This is Barry Farber with Pain for Gain. You've just witnessed Kevin Sorbo, Hercules, the real deal Hercules. See you next time.